In the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria, lives a wealthy businessman named Adewale. Known for his sharp mind and generous heart, Adewale is admired by many, but truly loved by few. His family, often caught up in their own lives, seems to take him for granted. One day, Adewale comes up with a plan to test their love and care. Adewale wakes up early one morning, feeling both excited and nervous about his plan. He sits down in his grand living room, surrounded by luxury, and makes a series of phone calls. First, he calls his personal doctor, Dr. Ikenna. Dear Ikenna, I need your help with something important. I want you to tell my family that I am seriously ill and need rest and care, Adewale says. Dr. Ikenna, who has been Adwale's friend for many years, is puzzled but agrees. Are you sure about this, Adewale? He asks. Yes, I need to know if they truly care about me or just my money, Adewale responds firmly. Later that day, Dr. Ikenna visits the mansion and examines Adewale. He then calls the family together in the living room. Adwale's wife, Omolara, their two children, Femi and Said, and Adwale's younger brother, Tun, all gather around looking concerned. Mr. Adwale's health is in a delicate state, Dr. Ikenna begins. He needs complete rest and constant care. Any stress could worsen his condition. Omolara gasps, her eyes wide with worry. What can we do, doctor? She asks. He needs to stay in bed and avoid any strenuous activity. You'll need someone to be with him at all times, Dr. Ikenna explains. Femi, a young man in his 20s, steps forward. I have an important project at work, but I'll try to help when I can, he says, glancing at his phone. Sei, who is in her final year at university, looks uncomfortable. I have exams coming up, but I'll visit when I have time, she murmurs. Tund, who has always been a bit jealous of his brother's success, simply nods and says, I'll check on you from time to time, eh? Adewale listens to their responses, his heart sinking a little. He thanks them and goes up to his bedroom, where he lies down and pretends to be weak. Days pass, and Adwale's family continues with their lives. Omolara tries to balance her social events with checking on Adewale, but it's clear she's struggling. Femi and Said visit occasionally, but they are often distracted by their own commitments. Tan drops by sporadically, usually when he needs something. Adewale begins to feel lonely and disappointed. He starts to wonder if his plan was a mistake. One evening, as he lies in bed, he hears a knock on the door. It's Zainab, his loyal housekeeper, who has been with the family for many years. Mr. Adewale, I brought you some soup. You haven't eaten much today, she says, placing the tray on the bedside table. Thank you, Zainab, Adewale says with a weak smile. You are very kind. Zainab sits by his bedside and looks at him with concern. You know, Mr. Adewale, sometimes people need a little push to show their true feelings. Give them some time. They love you, but they are just caught up in their own worlds. Adewale nods, appreciating her words. He realizes that perhaps his test was too harsh, and maybe his family just needed a wake-up call. The next morning, Adewale wakes up with a new plan in mind. He decides to talk to each member of his family individually, hoping to reconnect with them and understand their struggles better. Will Adwale's new approach bring his family closer, or will it reveal even deeper issues? The journey to finding out begins now. Adewale starts with his wife, Omolara. He finds her in the garden, tending to her beloved flowers. Omolara, Adewale says gently, can we talk? Omolara looks up surprised. Of course, Adewale. What's on your mind? I realize that I haven't been fair to you or the children, he begins. I pretended to be sick to see if you all cared about me or just my wealth. But I understand now that everyone has their own struggles and commitments. Omalara takes his hand, her eyes softening. Adewale, we do care about you, but you must understand, we all have our own pressures. Femi is trying to establish his career. Saeed is focused on her studies, and I've been trying to keep up with everything. Adewale nods. I know, and I'm sorry for doubting you all. Let's try to communicate better. I want us to be more connected as a family. Omalara smiles and hugs him tightly. Thank you, Adewale. We'll work on it together. Next, Adewale seeks out Femi, who is in his room, surrounded by papers and his laptop. Femi, Adewale says, knocking on the door. Can we have a chat? Femi looks up, a bit startled. Sure, Dad. What's up? Adewale sits down on the edge of the bed. I know you've been busy with your project, but I wanted to apologize. I shouldn't have tested you like that. Baby sighs. Dad, I understand why you did it. I've been so focused on my career that I've neglected the family. I'll do better, I promise. Adewale smiles. That's all I ask, son. Let's make more time for each other. Feeling encouraged, Adewale moves on to Say. He finds her in the library, surrounded by textbooks. Say, he says softly, can we talk for a moment? Say looks up, a hint of guilt in her eyes. Of course, Dad. I know your exams are important, but I wanted to apologize for my little test, Adewale says. I understand that you're under a lot of pressure. Say nods. I should have been more supportive, Dad. I'll try to balance my studies and family better. Adewale pats her shoulder. That's all I need to hear. Let's support each other. Finally, Adewale approaches his brother, Tun, who is lounging in the living room. Tun, we need to talk, Adewale says firmly. Tun looks up, somewhat defensive. About what? I realize that my test was unfair to you as well, Adewale begins. I know we've had our differences, but I want us to be closer as brothers. Tun sighs. I've always felt overshadowed by you, but I want us to be closer too. Adewale smiles. Then let's work on it together. Over the next few weeks, Adewale's family begins to change. They start spending more time together, sharing meals and stories. They laugh more, argue less, and genuinely enjoy each other's company. Adewale feels a sense of peace and happiness that he hasn't felt in years. One evening, as the family gathers for dinner, Adewale stands up to make a toast. To my family, he says, raising his glass. Thank you for your love, your patience, and your understanding. Let's continue to grow stronger together. As they clink their glasses and share a meal, Adewale looks around the table, feeling grateful and hopeful. His plan may not have gone as expected, but it led to something even better, a deeper connection with the people he loves most. As the family continues to grow closer, Adewale notices a remarkable change in their interactions. The mansion, once filled with silence and distance, now echoes with laughter and conversations. One day, while having breakfast together, Femi shares exciting news. Dad, I have something to tell you all, Femi announces, his eyes shining with excitement. Everyone looks up, curious. I've been offered a promotion at work, Femi continues. It's a big step up, and I'll be leading a major project. Adewale beams with pride. That's wonderful news, Femi. We're all so proud of you. The family congratulates Femi, and Adewale feels a surge of happiness seeing his son's hard work pay off. As the days go by, Sade also has something to share. One evening, she bursts into the living room with a big smile on her face. I passed all my exams with top marks, Sade exclaims, holding up her results. The family cheers and celebrates her achievement. Adewale feels a deep sense of fulfillment knowing his children are thriving. One weekend, Adewale decides to take the family on a trip to his hometown village, Ijebu-O. He wants to reconnect with his roots and share his heritage with his family. They pack their bags and set off on the journey, filled with anticipation. Upon arriving in Ijebu-O, the family is greeted with open arms by the villagers. Adewale takes them to his childhood home, a modest but charming house surrounded by lush greenery. "This is where I grew up," Adewale says, his voice filled with nostalgia. "I learned so much here, and I want you all to experience it too." The family spends their days exploring the village, learning about the culture, and participating in traditional activities. They visit the local market, where Omolara buys beautiful handmade crafts, and Sade tries her hand at cooking a traditional dish under the guidance of the village women. One evening, as they sit around a bonfire, Tan shares a story from their childhood. "Adewale was always the smart one," Tan begins, "but he never made me feel less. He always included me in his plans and helped me whenever I needed it." Adewale smiles, touched by his brother's words. "We've all had our struggles, Tan, but family is what keeps us strong." The trip brings the family even closer, and they return to Lagos with a renewed sense of unity and purpose. Adewale feels content, knowing that his family has grown in ways he never imagined. Back in Lagos, Adewale decides to give back to the community. He establishes a foundation to support education and healthcare in underprivileged areas. His family supports him wholeheartedly, volunteering their time and resources to make a difference. One afternoon, as Adewale oversees the construction of a new school funded by his foundation, he receives a phone call from an old friend, Chief Adewale. "Adewale, I've been hearing great things about your foundation," Chief Adewale says. "I'm proud of you." "Thank you, Chief," Adewale replies. "It's all about giving back and making a positive impact." As the weeks turn into months, Adwale's health improves, and his bond with his family strengthens. They continue to support each other, growing closer with each passing day. The mansion is no longer just a house, it is a home filled with love, laughter, and memories. One evening, as the family gathers for dinner, Adewale looks around the table, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "We've come a long way," he says, raising his glass, "to family, love, and the journey ahead. May we always stay united and cherish each moment together." The family clinks their glasses and shares a meal, knowing that their journey is far from over. They have learned to care for one another, to communicate openly, and to support each other's dreams. As they continue their lives, they are ready to face any challenge, knowing that they have each other. Adewale smiles, feeling a profound sense of peace. The test may have started as a way to measure his family's care, but it has led to something far greater, a deeper connection, and a brighter future together. And as they move forward, they do so with love, unity, and a commitment to always be there for one another. As the days turn into weeks, the family's bond grows even stronger. Adwale's health has fully recovered, and the mansion is now a place of joy and togetherness. The foundation they established flourishes, making significant impacts in the community. The family's unity inspires others, and they become a symbol of hope and strength. One sunny afternoon, as Adewale sits in his study, reflecting on the journey his family has been through, He decides to host a grand celebration to mark their achievements and newfound closeness. He gathers his family in the living room to share his idea. "I want us to celebrate," Adewale begins, a warm smile on his face. "We've come a long way, and I think it's time to gather our friends, extended family, and community to share in our joy." Omolara, Femi, Said, and Tund all nod enthusiastically, excited about the idea. They immediately start planning, each taking on different responsibilities to make the event a success. The day of the celebration arrives, and the mansion is beautifully decorated with colorful fabrics, twinkling lights, and vibrant flowers. The air is filled with the aroma of delicious traditional dishes being prepared, and the sound of lively music drifts through the open windows. Guests begin to arrive, filling the mansion with laughter and conversation. Adewale, dressed in a regal agbada, stands at the entrance, warmly greeting each guest. Omolara, stunning in her elegant attire, moves gracefully through the crowd, ensuring everyone feels welcome. Femi and Said take charge of entertaining the guests, organizing games and activities that bring people together. Ton mingles with old friends and new acquaintances, sharing stories and spreading cheer. As the sun sets and the sky turns a deep shade of indigo, Adewale gathers everyone in the garden for a special announcement. He stands on a small stage, looking out at the sea of familiar and smiling faces. "Thank you all for coming," Adewale begins, his voice filled with emotion. "Today, we celebrate not just our achievements, but the love and unity that have brought us here. This journey has taught us the true meaning of family and the importance of standing together." He pauses, looking at his family with pride. "Omolara, Femi, Said, Tund, you are my strength and my joy. Together, we have built something beautiful. This celebration is not just for us, but for everyone who has supported us along the way." A round of applause erupts, and Adewale steps down to join his family. They stand together, united and strong, as fireworks light up the night sky. The guests cheer and clap, celebrating the family's journey and the bright future ahead. As the festivities continue late into the night, Adewale takes a moment to sit quietly by the garden fountain, reflecting on the past year. Omolara joins him, taking his hand in hers. "You did it, Adewale," she says softly. "You brought us all together." "We did it," he corrects, smiling at her. "It was a family effort, and I'm grateful for every moment." Omolara leans her head on his shoulder, and they watch as Femi, Said, and Tun dance joyfully with their friends and loved ones. The mansion, once filled with uncertainty and distance, now radiates with warmth and happiness. Adewale takes a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment. The task he once feared has led to a beautiful transformation. His family has grown closer, stronger, and more connected than ever before. As the night draws to a close, Adewale stands up and joins his family on the dance floor. They dance together, surrounded by laughter and love, knowing that whatever the future holds, they will face it as a united front. The journey that began with a task has ended in a celebration of love, unity, and family. And as the stars twinkle above, Adewale knows that they are ready for whatever comes next, together. As the night draws to a close, Adewale and his family stand together, basking in the warmth of their newfound unity. The mansion, once silent, now echoes with laughter and joy. With fireworks lighting up the sky and music filling the air, they dance and celebrate their journey from doubt to deeper connection. Adewale smiles, knowing that his test has transformed his family, bringing them closer than ever. They are ready for whatever the future holds, united by love and strengthened by their bond. And as the stars twinkle above, they embrace the future with hope and gratitude, knowing they will always be there for each other.